All right, happy Monday and welcome into the 49ers Report. Hope all of your weeks are off to a good start and you all had a fantastic weekend. John Lynch just got done speaking with the media in his yearly press conference prior to the NFL draft, and there is so much to get to. Trey Lance trade latest, Brandon Aiyuk latest, and somebody asked John Lynch about if they would ever trade Nick Bosa, and I love what John Lynch had to say. We're getting to that and a whole lot more. First, though, the NFL draft is coming up on Thursday, and unfortunately for San Francisco, they do not have a pick until 99 overall in the third round, and we're going to be going live for the entire third round of the draft right here on the 49ers Report. Better yet, though, on Thursday, we're going to be going live on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, and throughout all 3 days of the NFL draft, we'll be live on Chat Sports, every single selection, every single day, breaking it all down. It all begins 6 o'clock on Thursday, so make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/chatsportstv. And today's show would not be made possible without our friends at Rhone. I'm wearing their commuter shirt and their commuter collection. It'll have you looking fresh and it'll spicy up your wardrobe. You can get 20% off, free shipping, Rhone.com/chatsports. Site-wide, this is a phenomenal deal all for you because men's closets were due for a radical reinvention. Rhone stepped up to the challenge. Their commuter collection, most comfortable, breathable, flexible set of products known to man. Here's why. Products for every occasion. I can wear Rhone shirts if I'm out on the golf course, if I'm hitting the town, if I'm doing some shows here at Chat Sports, but also a couple of other things in addition to the commuter shirt. Dress shirts, quarter zips, polos. You never have to worry about what to wear when you have the Rhone commuter collection. And I love their 4-way stretch fabric. I'm done wearing cotton shirts, and that's why I love Rhone, because these are breathable shirts, flexible shirts. You also don't have to worry about going to the dry cleaner any longer, because when you wear Rhone products, they actually get rid of wrinkles over time. Looking good is easy, and it's time to feel confident without the hassle. With their wrinkle release technology, those wrinkles do disappear. Odor-free technology as well. You can see for yourself, and it's 20% off. That's the deal for the faithful at Rhone.com/chatsports. We're going to put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. It's RHONE.com/chatsports. Appreciate them for making today's show possible. So let's begin with one of the bigger storylines in the National Football League, which has actually taken a backseat to some more quarterback moves. That's Aaron Rodgers officially getting traded to the New York Jets. But Trey Lance certainly up there because of the position that he plays and, of course, his name value and some of the interest that other teams have shown in Trey Lance. So John Lynch speaking about all of this drama, which really started last week with Ian Rappaport saying that the Niners had been taking calls from teams interested in Trey. John Lynch did say that Lance and his camp have not requested a trade. He also said, we expect Trey Lance to be on the team here for 2023. So that's pretty interesting that Lynch does expect Lance to be on this football team this upcoming season. And then he added by saying he's excited for Trey to go out and compete for the Niners starting quarterback job because Brock Purdy is still injured with that elbow injury and probably not going to be available for this football team for the foreseeable future. More from Lynch on Trey Lance. He said, I expect Lance to be a Niner next year, and said while there have been calls from other teams interested in Lance, it, quote, has not been extremely active. You know what this tells me? John Lynch had an opportunity at the NFL Scouting Combine and today to say, we are not trading Trey Lance. We love him as a player. We love him as a quarterback. We know that he can be an uber talented guy in this league, and that's why we selected him at number 3. He didn't say any of these things. And what that latter quote tells me about the trade calls not being that active is that there's not a lot of interest out there in Lance, and the Niners trying to increase that asking price. And they're not in love with Lance. Otherwise, they would have said that, and they continue to not say that. Now, Trey Lance was at his alma mater, North Dakota State, recently. He was at their final spring practice, and of course, he was asked about some of this trade speculation, and he shut it down. He said, I got no comment on that. I have no information. Last year I played the one game in Chicago, then got hurt, so it was kind of over before it even got started. But I am just excited for this year, this offseason, just focusing on getting better, focusing on getting these guys better in the locker room, and just being a great teammate, a great leader. And speaking of Lance being a great teammate and a great leader, Brock Purdy was on the New Heights podcast with Jason Kelce and Travis Kelce and said his rookie season was made a lot easier thanks to Lance really helping him along the road, especially after Jimmy Garoppolo did get injured. As for the latest from Ian Rappaport, he said, no trade for Trey Lance is imminent, but it also all depends on the status of Purdy's injury. The Niners want to be sure that Purdy is healthy before trading away Trey Lance. That's what I said last week. And Peter King reporting in his column this morning that the chance of a Trey Lance trade minuscule. He said 7.86%. You'd think that the Texans or Colts would at least show some interest in Lance, and maybe they will, but so far, critics. So with what John Lynch said, with what Peter King is reporting, in summary, not much of a market for Lance. Easy to see why. Guy said 4 starts in his NFL career and a combined 21 starts heading back all the way to his days at North Dakota State. If you remember, North Dakota State didn't play in 2020 because of the COVID-shortened year, so Lance only played 1 game that year. So that a little bit of a problem, his lack of development, lack of experience. If teams want to trade something for him, they don't know what they're getting because nobody knows the type of quarterback that Lance is. So who will start week 1 at quarterback for San Francisco? Just drop me a name down below in the comment section, because if you saw my YouTube short yesterday, I talked about the report from Jeremy Fowler that he spoke with multiple teams across the NFL that think Sam Darnold is going to get meaningful snaps this year as early as week 1. So we're talking about Lance, Darnold, and Brock Purdy, who starts week 1 for San Francisco. Now let's shift gears to Brandon Aiyuk here. John Lynch saying, we love Brandon Aiyuk. And the Niners have a decision to make after the NFL draft. They will announce their 5th-year option decisions on both Aiyuk and Kinlaw after this upcoming weekend. That's that May 1st deadline, and exercising the 5th-year option for Aiyuk would get him under team control through 2024. So in 2023, final year of his rookie contract, but if they exercise that 5th-year option like the Niners did with Nick Bosa, which is his 5th-year option coming up this year because he's a first-round pick, then they would gain another year of team control. And here's the deal with Brandon Aiyuk. It's been one of the more popular storylines here on the show because a lot of teams have been interested in Aiyuk because they realize that he's a really special wide receiver in this league. It never made any sense for the San Francisco 49ers to trade Brandon Aiyuk this offseason. Now, next offseason, it becomes a completely different conversation, but this offseason, why would you trade Brandon Aiyuk? You exercise his 5th-year option, then he's under team control for the next 2 years at a pretty affordable price tag. When you exercise that 5th year, he'd be due $14+ million, but San Francisco has one of the more talented rosters in the National Football League. Aiyuk has gotten better every single year that he's been in the NFL. I think that he's unseated Deebo Samuel as the number 1 wide receiver on this football team. Why would you trade your number 1 wideout in a pass-happy league when offenses are now winning championships as compared to defenses winning titles, when you can have Aiyuk under team control for the next 2 years? So trading Aiyuk this offseason never made a lot of sense. Lynch also said, we want to find a way to pay Aiyuk and Deebo, but if you go back and watch the video clip, I'm going to play body language doctor here. Lynch didn't seem all that confident about a long-term deal when he's asked about paying Aiyuk long-term, and it tells me he understands that Aiyuk could demand top 10 wide receiver money and make more than $20 million per year, and to pay 2 wide receivers $20 million annually, it's very tough to do, especially considering all of the contracts that the Niners are paying some of their premium players. But with Aiyuk here, this is why other teams are interested. This is why he's setting himself up for a monster payday, and this is why I continue to say that he's one of the more slept-on, underrated wide receivers in the NFL. I was saying last offseason, I think he's better than C.D. Lamb. He has a season like he did in 2022 with 78 grabs, more than 1,000 yards, career high in both those categories, as well as the touchdowns as he pulled off the career high trifecta. And that's why I continue to say this guy's a really, really special player, and the Niners see the writing on the wall. Because of his rise, because of his ascension, his growth, his development, that's why he's going to continue to demand top dollar potentially, especially if he turns in another big year in year 4 in 2023. So let's play a little game here. Will Aiyuk be on the Niners in 2025? Let's look beyond that 5th-year option. This means that the Niners, at this point, if he's on the team, they sign him to a contract extension, on or off. Just like you're flipping that switch, let me know. Let's round out with this and a couple of other things from Lynch. John Lynch was asked what it would take for the Niners to trade away Nick Bosa. And John Lynch said, quote, "That hotline is closed. That never opened." See, this is what I'm talking about with Trey Lance, right? John Lynch has never said this about Trey Lance, but he said it about Nick Bosa. Goes to show you that this organization is obsessed. They adore Nick Bosa. You cannot say the same thing about their infatuation or lack thereof with Trey Lance. John Lynch moved 3 draft picks to move up for Lance, to take him number 3 in 2021. He could have said, the hotline is closed. It was never open. We never took any calls on a Nick Bosa trade. He didn't. But he did say that about Nick Bosa. I think that's pretty telling. It's easy to see why the Niners don't want to deal away the defending Defensive Player of the Year, who's also known as Daddy here by some in the Chat Sports studios, not by me. In 2021, 15.5 sacks, 32 quarterback hits, 21 tackles for loss, 4 forced fumbles, and 52 tackles. And then you're thinking, okay, it's going to be really hard to duplicate that production in 2022. He doesn't. And that's why he won Defensive Player of the Year, even when he was demanding all those double teams. Still found a way to get to the opposing quarterback. Even though he was getting swarmed by opposing offensive linemen, getting chipped by tight ends, Nick Bosa is still able to make game-changing plays. He turns in 18.5 sacks. That led the NFL, 48 quarterback hits, 19 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and 51 tackles. A very, very special player who's going to get locked up long-term. That contract extension probably going to happen somewhere in that late July, August window, because that's how the Niners always do business. How many sacks will Bosa have in 2023? I said live last week, I think it's going to be less than 18.5. It's really hard to duplicate that figure back-to-back years, but with Bosa, anything is possible. The guy is just a straight-up freak. As for the Niners trading up in the NFL draft, last talking point here, John Lynch said, quote, "I really believe at 99, 101, and 102, we can get players that we really, really like." Did not rule out the possibility of a trade up. Either way, it's going to be interesting to see what the Niners do. They can get really good players in that 3rd round. That's the tail end of the 3rd round, 99, 101, 102. You can get immediate starters. You can get developmental pieces. You can get a couple of different positions, needs now, needs in the future. I kind of like the flexibility for the Niners. Ideally, you have a pick in the 1st or 2nd round. You don't, but you can still get very good picks in the 3rd round. Didn't rule out the possibility of a trade up. That could be interesting too. Maybe you mortgage 1 or 2 of those 3rd round picks to move up a few picks in the 3rd round. Maybe that slides you up into the 2nd round as well. All right, it's been the 49ers Report. It's a beautiful Monday. Hope you have a great rest of your Monday. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you next time here on the show. We'll be going live tomorrow, Tuesday, on the San Francisco 49ers Report, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific.